we have no idea how much is out there that we don't know.
I just don't understand how you could have creation without creator.
Exactly.
I mean, because it goes against the law of the natural existence, right? I mean, anything that you look at is created for something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I agree.
Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
All right. Awesome. Well, back again here. It is Monday, the 15th of September. I can't even already believe that it's the middle of September. Like, I'm looking at the dates right now, and I just don't even understand what's going on with the time or how fast things are going. And I don't want to hear about the cliche either, because there's always a cliche for something. And it's like, well, the older you get, there's the more time seems shorter. And then we talked about that though, right? We talked about because
it's not cliche, but it's true. But you're right. A lot of people talk about that. But yeah, man, I remember January like it was yesterday, man. And it's crazy how quickly the month is going. It's already the 15th of September, man. It's crazy.
I just kind of almost like sometimes think that maybe Elon Musk is right. He went to he was just recently at a conference, and he was speaking at a conference, and he was talking. He's like, and one of the questions they came up with is, "Are we in a simulation?" Right? Mm-hmm. it's like that's been a popular topic of conversation for quite a long time now. For a lot of people, is they're debating on whether or not we're in a simulation or not. And it's like, I don't know, Len. What do you think? Are we in a simulation?
The obvious answer for me is no, but I think that it requires for us to really take an in-depth look at all different possibilities. And I think that goes back to the whole Matrix movie, right? This idea that we are a part of something that we're really not a part of. And if we take the blue pill, we have one existence. And if we take the red pill, we have a different existence. And the reality is that I'm of the belief that times are changing and our existence is starting to evolve as a country. And because of that evolution, it just makes you think about and question everything. And so that's where I think we really are more than anything. How about you, man? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, it's interesting because I'm a very logical, very scientific purpose. And obviously, I mean, my background is technology. I've been on a computer since I was 6 years old. I love sci-fi. I love all that kind of stuff. So for me, I would think that, oh man, that'd be cool. But I'm a very spiritual person, and Len, I've got a missionary work, and I've had a lot of spiritual growth too, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. So for me, I can absolutely unequivocally say no, we're not in a simulation, just simply because of my spiritual, not beliefs, but my feelings, right? So I guess the answer is that when you have a spiritual awakening and you have a spiritual connection, you have a spiritual feeling. You no longer, I have my spiritual beliefs, because I don't think you believe anymore. I think you feel, and I think you belong. You understand now at that point. So for me, no, I don't think we do. Now, if I take that filter out of my life and I just look at it scientifically, I could see how it's easy to think that or believe that or feel that, just simply because there's a lot of scientific evidence that could really point towards that being factual or that being the case. Just like there's a lot of scientific evidence that points to the theory of evolution in regards to man came up from, primates and all those different types of things like that. But I always go back to the understanding of, which is what I think it's scientifically proven to some degree. I don't know how it's measured, that human beings only use like a fraction, or like, let's just say percentage,
about 10%, 8% roughly.
I don't even know what that means. Their brain power, like, I don't know how that's measured. Is it Kelvin, watts, kelvins, miles per hour, knots? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you can say that, then it would be ignorant to think that anything else that could even possibly be that so high upper room level, because you don't know the other 90%. And the 90% is a lot.
Yeah. And there's also a spiritual realm too that exists within our reality that we can't see. Right. And so because our five senses can't sense that, I'm of the belief, you talked about being spiritual, when we talk about spirits, there is an absolute reality that there are spirits all around us. And when we talk about good versus evil, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers and, things of higher in heavenly places. And so there's absolutely spirits. And so I think as people ask this question of, are we in, are we experiencing some altered reality? I think that all of those forces with the changing environment here, with our senses as it relates to what we can see, hear, feel, and touch, and then also that spiritual reality, I think there's this questioning that's necessary. And I think that anybody, going back to your point about the percentage of our brain power that we use, I think that it's silly to not question everything. And I think you should interrogate all of those ideas and then come with your own conclusions. But I'm of the belief, like you, man, I think that the reality that we sense is only a part of it because of the spiritual existence as well.
I watched a very interesting short on this, and it talks about dimensions, and it breaks down a 1 dimension versus 2 dimension versus 3 dimension versus 4 dimension. And it explained it in such a simple, profound way, in that it said, you have no idea what you're not seeing, because like for us, for example, we're 3-dimensional, right? We live in a 3-dimensional, but we don't know what that 4th dimension looks like. So therefore we have no comprehension of it. To us, it is in front of us, but because we aren't equipped to see it or hear it or experience it, I can't even say hear it or see it or any of that, because it goes beyond those senses, right? It's a higher level sense that we don't even have the faculties to control, right? And if we did, would we even be able to survive them, right? As a species, or whatever you want to call it. So it explained that if you're 2-dimensional, you don't even think about 3-dimensional, because you can't see it or even understand it, because you don't have the faculties to. For us, we have no way of understanding that. So I think a person is very obtuse when they just simply could say, oh yeah, there's a lot of research and stuff that points to that fact. But then if you weigh in the fact that we only have 90% or 10% control over our mental faculties, how could you even possibly make a statement like that when you don't even know what the other 90% of your brain power can interpret in the physical universe around us? We don't even understand the universe. We think we do, right? And even Elon Musk said it the other day. He's like, well, this calls into question, and he said it at the same time with the simulation argument, because he is a big proponent of that, right? But he said, we might have to rework the thing. Does the universe even end? Did it begin? How did it start? All of those different things. Is even really 13 billion or whatever it is years old that they say, right? They, right? They say, is the world flat? All that stuff, right? So,
we don't know. And that's the thing that I think that you're really bringing up, is the fact that we have no idea how much is out there that we don't know. And I think, going back to your point about just this whole idea of living in a simulation and all of these things, there was a question, you talked about shorts earlier. I saw another short that was really interesting. They asked, I don't remember what if it was Grok or Chat GPT, it was one of the AIs, and it said, what is the probability that a single cell organism could evolve into a species that's sentient and, society and all of that? And the number that it gave was astronomical. So the interpretation that I got from that is that it's so much more rational to believe there's a higher being and a higher power, as opposed to this random act of creation, because there is no evidence in which something came out of nothing. There's no evidence in which some event happens and something is created. We have lots of evidence that things are destroyed and things change form, but we don't have any evidence that something spontaneously happened from nothingness. And so I think that it's easier to posit that there is a God as opposed to not. So we could talk about that for a long time as well, but
I just don't understand how you could have creation without creator.
Exactly.
I mean, because it goes
My
against the
beliefs,
law of the
exactly.
natural existence, right? I mean, anything that you look at is created for something.
Exactly. I agree. And because of that, I think that there has to be, because, we talk a lot about black versus white. We talk a lot about Republican versus Democrat. I think this is the conversation between creation and spirituality or beliefs in a higher power, or science versus religion, if you will. I don't like to use the word religion because I think so much has been infiltrated, as opposed to this whole notion of what it is to believe in God and Jesus and so on and so forth. And I think that it's important to understand that there are multiple angles of truth that we need to explore. Like, I believe, like, there's certain people who believe in the creationists that say the earth is only 6,000 years old. But there's also some people who believe in God that believe that the earth is billions of years old. And I think that it bears exploring both of those possibilities without coming to some conclusion to say one or the other is right or wrong. And so, when you look at the Bible, when you look at in the beginning, we as human beings look at it in terms of time, but the word beginning does not necessarily denote a specific origin of time, because if you believe in God, God always existed. So how can you have a being that always existed eternally and place that eternal being in these confines of time? It's not possible. And so I think that's where some of the difficulties come, because we try to use our language and our understandings and our dimensions and all of those to describe certain things that are unexplainable, at least right now.
So, Len, as always, what a fruitful, eventful conversation. I've always enjoyed our time together, so I appreciate that. And again, if you got some value out of this conversation, you like what's going on, take a liking to us, take a subscribing to us, throw a comment, whatever. If you want us to talk about something, obviously, we're not going to be experts at what we're talking about. We're not going to be scripted at what we're talking about, but we're not going to be filtered at what we're talking about. We're just going to give you our opinions as we see it in the world, and encouragement to hopefully you give your opinion and understanding, and knowing that you could be friends and business partners with somebody and not totally agree with everything you say at the same time, and have a nice debate and conversation about it and have fun doing it. So with that being said, Len, I'll see you next week.
Take care. Till next week.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.